Any comments or questions?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as written for the November 29th, 2017 Tilton Budget Committee meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain? You abstain?
Yes.
2 abstains?
I do have a question
Mm-hmm.
from the, did we receive the updated financials reports from CAP as you? What's that?
It was on the email, right, John?
It was emailed to us.
Okay, I'm just asking if we
Okay.
received it or not.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And Kim mailed the stipends. I don't know whether anybody's gotten theirs or not, but they are out. All right?
Haven't been long enough to get them.
All right. First thing we need to do is talk about the outside agencies that have been in. I think the only one that we've done is the Association for the Blind, which is now Future in Sight. And do we do Old Home Day
Yes, according to this we did.
and the concert series?
And
Yes.
Genesis.
Pardon?
And Genesis.
See you back in. Last section.
Sorry. I was too busy getting this thing. Where? Let's see it. Very last section. Okay. Thank you, Johanna. All right, is there any discussion on any of them before we start looking at them and making motions?
So,
I'll make a motion to fund CAP at $26,000.
seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I would like to make a motion that we fund the Hall Memorial Library at $128,480.50.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay,
Would you like
and
the
next.
next one?
I make a motion to fund Child and Family Services for $3,000.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Sorry, I skipped one.
Yeah, I see that.
Come on, Joseph.
Come on, move along over here.
I'd like to make a motion to fund the Franklin Visiting Nurses for $12,572.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
He's got one.
If you want to discuss any of these, please feel free to.
Okay.
Okay?
Is the Recreation Council the Pines?
Fine.
Is that a nonprofit or a for-profit?
Non-profit.
So certain things they do charge for,
Hmm?
They receive 45% of the budget from the towns, but the rest of it is grants and fees.
Mostly fees, because they don't have many grants.
right?
That's true.
Yeah, yeah.
They're trying to get more.
We're doing, we keep.
I'll make a motion to fund the Pines for $64,750. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Red Cross is show up, right?
Hmm?
Red Cross are the ones that didn't show
Red
up.
Cross did not show up.
About the youth assistance program.
Wayne can't, because he's on board.
Make a motion, we approve the youth assistance for $48,755.
I'll
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Did we already vote on the library? No, I don't think it's gonna change the appropriation.
That's how I feel about the time. That's what I like.
Certainly, we would welcome your vote if you want to just disagree.
I did definitely disagree, but what, 6-1, it's kind of 6-9. Let the record show that I did disagree with the library.
Absolutely.
All right, now New Beginnings and CASA both did show up because they didn't receive the first notification. So we did remove the 0, I believe, by a motion. So we need to discuss that. The Red Cross stands, I think, but we'll have to make a motion about that.
I make a motion that we fund New Beginnings for $1,530.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I make a motion to fund the Red Cross Concord for 0.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. CASA.
I'll make a motion to fund Park Commission for $38,856. Yes.
They're coming in, so do we wanna, Do we
I'd
wanna
rather
vote on
wait
that?
to- I'd rather wait to talk to them.
I would too.
Yes.
They're coming in.
yeah,
Okay.
I'd
okay?
like to know why it's less money than last year and what they intend to do with this money.
And one of the things that I would suggest, because I did this and it was kind of interesting, and it will certainly generate conversation for me when they come in, is to go back and read the minutes from last year when they came in, because we had quite a controversy with the Parks Department. So that might be beneficial.
Do we have a date when they'll be coming in?
Have you,
I believe it is going to be the first week in January.
okay.
Now, I am the new guy, but why are we voting on the Parks Commission as an outside agency?
Well, it's not an outside agency, but we had them come in, and I don't know necessarily why it's on here.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to
Because we don't
clarify
have,
in my mind.
they don't fit under a department as such. And they are, so I think that's why.
Okay,
We have public works and we go to the police department, so they'll be addressed at those times.
all right, then the park is coming here.
And I think it's because last year, initially, they were not set to come in, nor was the sewer commission, and we requested that they both come in to see us, and I think that they got added at that time. Is that not right, Johanna?
Parks, definitely.
Okay? And you all know Partnership for Public Health is the one that, it's a new organization, and they came to the selectmen and made a presentation, and they sent a letter to, they made a request to the budget committee, but because they didn't get in time, we sent them a letter, and the letter basically said it was too late, but they were welcome to apply next year. And I think we also, PEMI Youth, did not request anything this year because they just opened up,
They didn't have
and
their
they
stuff
didn't really
together
feel
yet.
that they had
It's
enough
just-
data or enough information, and they didn't want to come in and not have their ducks in a row when they came into us, which I appreciated them doing. Okay? Any other comments, questions? Oh, we still have CASA to do.
That is correct.
And the future insight,
We've done that.
did we?
Yeah.
All right.
Now, CASA requested 500 more this year. We had others that requested more, and we did fund them for more.
They've asked for 1,000 right along, we've given them 500.
Okay, but they have asked, well, she told us this year that they were asking for 1,000 instead of 500. Because last year, we talked about giving them, when the woman came in, if you will recall, we talked about giving them 1,000, and she said they didn't need it. That was the woman from Northfield who made the presentation last year. But when Sandy came in this year, she said they had upped the request to 1,000.
We've given,
Oh.
they've asked for 1,000 in the past,
Okay.
we've only given them 500.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we fund CASA at $1,000.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
All right. And Lockmere Village is coming in, so we'll wait to come in.
Lockmere Village can't submit their finalized budget because they don't have the proper forms from the DRA. Can't do that until the end of the year figures are prepared and plug it in. And I think, are they already scheduled
They're scheduled in
again?
February.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we talked about that last week, remember? They're just a pass-through budget, so we didn't see
No,
that
I get that, yeah.
being an issue.
But that's why they weren't.
All right. All right, and if you'll notice at the bottom that we have the list of the public hearings. Tim wanted to come tonight because tonight we're gonna talk about the budget, proposed selectmen's budget. And I gave him a chance to go home, but he said, no, he wanted to just give us some general things about, so I said, fine, he's more than welcome.
Do you ever go home?
I do. I know it doesn't seem that way.
No.
This time of year it's tough. If you take a look at the handout on the budget, the selectmen's budget, and they still have an opportunity tomorrow night to make some changes, which on the 13th you'll get their final official budget. But just to go over on the front page the highlights, and then I'll just go over some of the formatting with you, and not to get too much into detail, but our town administrator has announced that she's going to be retiring in 2018. So there's some additional monies for an overlap period for the new town administrator, and also some of the other changes there were medical plan changes. But there was a reduction in that budget. We saw some savings in insurances, and that helped. In the town clerk tax collector's budget, really the only thing when you look at the detail, you'll see that the major increase was just due to the town clerk tax collector's request. And it's not a major amount of money, but that is what accounts for the majority of that increase. In finance, we paid off the 61 Business Park Drive debt that we had. Back in 2013, the town had financed the property to the person that purchased it, and we held the mortgage, and they refinanced this past year, and so this reduced our debt payments by $143,500. The other important aspect in that area is our borrowing. Our short-term borrowing has increased, and so the debt on that short-term borrowing has gone up primarily due to increased rates. And that's what we call TANs, or tax anticipation notes. So we borrow in anticipation of the tax payments. You'll see the next major area is land use, where there was an increase, and there wasn't an increase in the salary, but it's just budgeted across the entire year, whereas in the 2017 budget, it was budgeted from town meeting, that position, through the end of the year, so this is now just reflecting the full year salary.
And that's the technician, that's not.
Part-timer, right?
Right. In the police budget, we are down one officer, but up 2 full-time dispatchers. So the net is an increase of $51,417. Dispatch, the 2 dispatchers and the accompanying taxes, insurance, and retirement accounted for a $117,000 increase. But overall, the police budget is up 2.5%, or $51,417. In Public Works, there's a slight increase. He currently has a one position that's open and not filled, but is budgeted for 2018, and that's a full-time position. In sanitation, the increase is due primarily to the change that was made at the 2017 town meeting for picking up all the mobile home parks. And then in, let's see, that's pretty much it. There, you'll see as you go through, you'll see how the selectmen voted on the outside agencies, and there was an increase in the library, as you can see, and there's still, I think it's been determined now that the parks is going to continue to pay for the landscaping for Riverfront Park and the other parks, and it's not going to be done by Public Works
This year.
this year. So that's pretty much it. The net of this is that there's a 1% reduction in the budget, in the operating budget, and then if you're to, the warrant articles haven't been worked out yet. That's something they're going to be working on this week. But based on the normal warrant articles that we do, you can see that we'd be down about 1.5% in terms of budget from year to year. The rest of this document, you'll see their notes in here, and you'll see the selectmen's votes as you go through it. Also, I'll just point out that there's an average of 2013, 2014, 2015, and 2016 expense for each column, and then you'll see the budgeted and the actual and year-to-date percent for 2017 on any of these detail pages. So that, just keep in mind that average is over 4 years that you see there. And as you go through, the next to last page are the estimated revenues, which we're anticipating are going to hold pretty steady. There are some changes in there. Our attorney prosecutor is now serving that purpose for the town of Sambrinton, and as such, we're going to be receiving revenue as a result of that. And then on the very last page is the tax estimate for 2018, which you can see the total appropriation up top. That's from the front page, the revenues from the prior page, and then the other components that go into the tax rate for overlay, which is our abatements essentially, and then war service credits, veterans credits. And then we'll be looking at roughly, if our town valuation holds the same, we'd be looking at a 2.2% increase in the tax rate for the town portion. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Just keep in mind this is subject to change. The warrant articles, again, haven't been reviewed by the selectmen yet. There may be additions or changes, but they're doing that tomorrow night.
Now, this budget assumes that we will not be hiring for that vacancy in the police department for the officer.
That's correct.
Under outside agencies, there's a line just above summer costs, way down at the bottom. And it says alternate recreation.
That's where we would have put the PEMI, and that's where we would have put, in case we had an alternate to any kind of recreation, if, let's say, Parks and Recreation came in to a full swing Parks and Recreation, we would have put something in there.
It was actually,
It was from the last
originated
year.
from the Budget Committee.
The added it last year.
Yeah.
Right, Budget Committee put it in there.
I don't remember this from last year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we didn't do anything with it. We were gonna put, the PEMI had asked for some funds, so we thought we'd put it there, but then they removed their request. So we took it out.
Yeah, it was the meeting that was held at the police department is when that was added.
We added it also because of the pines, being the only thing that provided any youth recreation and that it was foreseen that maybe in the future there would be other things. At that time, there were discussions by the town. Remember the church, we put money in to assess the church as a possibility, and then the other pieces of property were looked at,
That was,
so,
no,
well, that's why the budget committee put it in.
that's incorrect information though, Jane, because that's not incorrect information, but the town was looking into the church as a community building, but that would not have, that would only have housed like YAP and people like that.
And
It
the
would,
family, it might have been an organization going into it.
might have been an organization to go into, but it would not have.
I recall the sports center was discussed.
It was
for
kind of
teens.
more like it was kind of something in addition to recreation that came into town that would have been in addition to that.
Well, and technically speaking, because the one expense line is specifically for the Tilton Northfield Rec Council,
Yeah.
it wouldn't make sense to put additional monies in there for some other program. So that's why that one
So
line
I'm
was
wondering
created.
about the need for alternate recreation line. Why do we have that in there? Just because maybe kind of?
Yes, that's why we put it in. There was talk of using the Tilton Sports Center,
I remember,
okay?
I was involved in those discussions myself. But why do we, right now it's just because maybe someday,
Well, all we have in is $1, so I don't see
they
a
could
problem.
change in a heartbeat. Selectmen could put $5,000 into that
Yeah, they
line
could, they didn't.
and call it anything. They can do it anytime during the year.
I don't see any need for that at all. You're right, Joe, they can. I don't see that
The
they,
bottom line budget is some selectmen
Right,
like to
exactly.
point out over and over again.
Yeah.
right.
And this could become anything.
I mean,
Well, recreational.
Or some kind of recreation.
but
It
the
can be
discussion
stretched
shouldn't
around
be,
a lot of different ways, I think.
the discussion should not be brought up here at the budget committee. The discussion should be brought up at the selectmen's meeting to take that out of the line, because
Yeah,
it's up to them to be taking
right,
it
that-
out
that's
of
what I
the
was-
budget committee.
Isn't this the budget committee's budget, ultimately?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're free to create your own budget however you see fit. And the selectmen, as I said, this is still, being modified some, so they may make a change to that. But, and I think it was anticipated that PEMI Youth was going to put in for that. So, these are all recent changes.
But the Tender Youth would have had their own particular line, and that would be a line in addition to that, correct?
No.
No,
Not necessarily.
no.
It would have
As a
been
matter
all,
of fact, when
all,
we put it in, Pemmy Youth was the organization we were thinking of because there was talk of it coming in.
Right.
How come it doesn't say Tender Youth?
Because we didn't know for sure that was coming in.
Well, in one of the iterations it did, but,
Yeah, I remember.
okay.
And to clarify, budget committee can put a 0 in that at any time.
Mhm.
0 the line out, and that line cannot be used for that year.
That's right. If town meeting votes
at any
to
time.
approve it that way, if
Exactly.
it's, no means no, which is,
You
if
can
something's
get up and
zeroed out.
This will come up again.
Yeah, you can go on the floor or you can make a recommendation tonight, just to say, we would prefer to that, just come right out.
Through the budget and the.
Public
line by
hearing, or
line part
just
of it.
even the budget public hearing, if you folks want to relay back that to the alternate, or
So you just,
being me or John, to the selectmen to say, yeah, let's take this out, and
Well, and
we'll certainly relay that to the board of selectmen, I have no
And
problem.
I can tell you, as finance director, I don't like leaving lines that have no purpose.
Right.
We have
I don't either.
a couple in revenues that I'd like to see combined that just don't make a whole lot of sense.
If in time the need comes up, we can always add a line in there.
Right.
but again, this is a moot point, because at this point in time, we can either 0 it out or discuss it as the budget comes forward, as we do a line by line.
And we're gonna do everything line by line, and that's when
And
it's
that's even if
appropriate to
it-
do it.
About that,
That's
Dan.
even if it even exists at that point,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Jim, not to rush you, but tomorrow they're going to try to finalize the
Exactly,
Warrants.
operating budget
exactly.
next, when will those be available for us online?
Should be Friday.
Friday? Okay.
Yep. Providing it's all done.
I'm not saying it's a rush, I'm just saying when it's available, that'd be great, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
I make sure that he gets it to us as soon as they have it available.
It's the only way I'll get her out of my office.
Yep.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah. One thing I want to bring up tonight, and for instance, I noticed last year we got really bogged down in some, what I want to call personality kinds of issues about people's salaries, and, you know, I would like to see us not do that this year. I think we're, move beyond that, so let's keep that in mind as we move through the budget. What I'd like to do tonight is just look at categories and see if you see anything standing out that we can further think about before the selectmen come in to ask them specific questions.
The only concern I have is since it's not been finalized,
Correct.
that we should wait until we get a finalized version to do that review.
We're not going to go up line by line. We're just going to look, because the selectmen are coming in on the 13th, which is very soon. So I would like us to see any line areas that we might think there would be a question about,
And
so that we could do it more. So it's
understand.
not going to be time consuming. It's going to be done fairly
I
briefly.
understand your point, but I disagree with it.
Okay.
He disagrees with what?
He disagrees with looking at the categories to see if there's anything that we want to study more in more detail, or that jumps out at us, so we can be more prepared when the selectmen come in. If there's any
Because
questioning about
it's
it.
not finalized
And he's
at
saying
this
it's
point in
not
time.
finalized.
So we're just kind of guessing at the guessing.
Well, it's pretty much finalized. The only thing that's not finalized is your health insurance, which we don't have the numbers yet. So the last minute kind of situation
And I
that we
understand
have.
the point, but I disagree that we
Yeah.
should have the final project that we should be working from, not from something that is not the final.
We're not going through it line by line. I'm saying,
Doesn't
let's
matter
look
line
at
by
the...
line or category that is
Okay,
not
well.
finalized. My disagreement is we should be working with a final product before we even talk about the discussion.
I think that if you can just peruse through,
Which is what I'm asking people to do.
not necessarily categories, just peruse through to something sticks out at you and say, hey, what about this? We can get the answers for you, not necessarily finalizing our
And my question is that if we have questions, that's fine, but I'm not going to look at individual
well, I think that's what
amounts.
Jane is trying to
That's what I
portray.
tried to say,
Is
that's
if
what
you
I
have
said.
questions, we can get the answers for you, and I think that's what she's trying to
I'm not
portray.
looking at the amounts.
Right. Right.
Well, legal expenses, in the police department. 017842110, legal expense. We were 300% over budget, but we reduced the request by 50%.
Contract, Joe. Last year was contract. This year's not.
And again, this comes back to my concern to begin with. That question is from line items, not from the general category.
Okay. I have a question. Why are we opting to go to 6 full-time people at DPW as opposed to 1 full-time and 1 part-time that we've had in the past?
We haven't had that in the past. We're going back to what we had.
Okay.
Back in last July or the July before that, there were 2 full-time employees that left. We hired only 1 full-time employee to replace that one and 1 seasonal. The seasonal is finished.
And that was part-time, correct? The seasonal.
Right, that was part-time, seasonal part-time. It was just for a specific period of time, in the summer.
Okay.
And so we felt that you're gonna use a seasonal in the summer, you're gonna use a seasonal in the winter, and you're gonna use a seasonal in the spring. You're better off having that full-time accessible to you at all times. It's better to us to utilize them in that manner.
Okay.
And so the director had asked us to rethink that and put the full-time on. However, we've put that advertisement out now for 4 or 5 weeks. Nobody's applied.
Nobody. In the past, there's been multiple applications.
There are 8 or 9 different towns that are looking for the same jobs, right? In this area. In this area. So there are a lot.
But the Board of Selectmen has every intention of filling it with the proper candidate
Yes,
at such time as that
CDL,
can.
plow
Because
experience.
plowing is coming, right?
Plow experience, yep, CDL's requirement,
Are
yep,
you looking for a multi-one operator or a plow truck guy or,
hopefully all of it,
yeah?
hopefully all of it, you know.
And I think one of the things that maybe occurred in the past, and I'm pulling this, I don't know this for sure, I know that we had a lot of equipment problems with things getting broken or whatever, and I think maybe getting a full-time person who's able to operate all those things will save on some of the repairs too. That's just a feeling I have.
We haven't had that many repairs recently, have we, Pat?
Yes,
Yeah.
well,
Really?
we've had repairs in equipment, no, not necessarily repairs in equipment because we've had new
bought
equipment.
I was gonna say, what kind of repair?
Right.
No,
I
we
mean,
had, one of the reasons we had to buy new equipment was because some of the things had
I get that.
to be repaired. That was my
Oh,
point.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My question now is are we doing a select board meeting with us at this point in time? Or would this best be taken up when the select board presents their budget at their given time?
No, I just had a question, that was all.
The question seems to elaborate into more
Yeah, but we're not
explanation.
voting on this
No,
right
no,
now.
it's, where's the discussion?
Point of order,
process?
I'm talking, and I'd like to finish what I am doing in an appropriate manner. Question I have is this not what the select board will be presenting in their report? And why are we doing it now instead of waiting for their finalized report before the budget committee?
in all fairness to the chair, that you have a selectman present as an ex officio, and any questions that come about the budget that's asked of a selectman have the right to have answers. That's why we have a selectman officio on the board, on the committee itself. Now, the 13th, the selectman will present the budget. Actually, it will probably be Tim, and then we'll be present to answer any and all questions. If that question doesn't happen to come up, you're not going to get the answer because you're going to forget. One of you are going to forget to ask that question again. So if you have the question now and you can get the answer now, now's the time to get it. That's my opinion.
And my opinion is that answer could change until that happens, and it's better to have some final document for us to work from where we have data that is fairly set in stone that we can actually make firm discussions and decisions about. This seems to be a waste of our time at this point in time because the question that was being asked are the questions that should be asked when the budget is being presented formally to the budget committee. That's my opinion.
In all fairness, though, I disagree with you because on December
Will you allow-
13th,
Can you just a
wait,
minute?
hold on a minute.
Okay.
On December 13th, when we present the budget, you are still not going to have a 100% final budget because we're still not going to have all the answers for you. We never have because of health insurance or the numbers that come in a timely fashion. We've never had that, Wayne. What we've done is given you every single thing that we have. It's been 99% there, and then we've updated you as health insurance and FICA and all that has changed accordingly because of that. So it is the highway set 99.99%, yes, other than health insurance, it is. Yes, it is set. Is PD that way? Yes, it is set other than health insurance. Yes, it is set. And we're coming to you as that. So, you know, could it change tomorrow night if we get health insurance information? Yes, it could. So I differ with you because even on the 13th, we're still going to have that same issue.
And my point of order is that this is material that belongs under that meeting, not at this meeting. It's premature.
I asked if there wanted to be any discussion. We had discussion, and I think any discussion to help people, especially when there's some new people on the budget committee, is informational and it's appropriate. And that's my opinion. So with that, let's get on with what we have to say. The next thing I wanted to say was, are there any other questions that anybody wants to bring up? Our points of order, our comments? Joe, did you want to discuss any more about?
And there's nothing that can't wait for me until we get somebody that I can look right in the eyeball and ask questions of.
Okay.
Mr. Mitchell, Chief Cormier, and so forth, the selectmen.
The other thing I wanted to bring up is that I talked to Joyce and told her that rather than have all the department heads here the night that the presentation is made, that I thought it was more appropriate, since we're going to the police department, we're going to the highway department, that if we have questions that need to be addressed by the department heads, that at a later time when we get to that area, we can call them in, as opposed to having everybody here en masse when we haven't had a chance to discuss it with the selectmen. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Mm-hmm. And if I certainly think of it, if we have any questions, we certainly can email the department heads for information that they can provide us for the select board's presentation.
Anything else?
No further, if there's no further business, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So next week is here?
Huh? What?
Did that change?
No, next week is here.
Okay.
We can speak.
So make sure
Okay.
it's not gonna get lost.
That's because the
Next
selectmen,
week is here.
and thank you for picking that up,
Okay.
Tim got it.
Where else would it be?
because
Because
we
we
had
had
planned to
these
go to the
outer
police department, to the highway department.
Yeah,
And so then,
good.
so I don't wanna be in the wrong place.